Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
I think we have our author on the line, Janine Joseph. Janine, thanks for calling. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely, Janine. We have a panel of people that are going to ask questions about your book and about you, and they just come up with such unbelievable questions. But I'm going to go in the simple thing. I just want to know some background about you for our listeners out there, and then you wait till the panel has some very interesting questions for you.
Oh, okay. So I was actually born in the Philippines and lived there up until about a month before my 9th birthday, and have been living in the U.S. since. I just flew in actually last night from Stillwater, Oklahoma. I am currently teaching at Oklahoma State University.
Okay, all right. What are you teaching at Oklahoma State?
I teach creative writing, poetry.
Okay. All right.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, Peter. I know you have a question for Janine.
Yeah, so I got a few of them, but I'm just going to stick with one for now. So for your poems and essays, I'm just curious, because I was looking at a few things over. It says you're doing them, and they're mostly surrounding about growing up. And I'm just curious, what that means, what areas are you focusing on, or what areas do you want people to focus on?
Okay, so my book is largely set in Southern California, where my family immigrated. I immigrated from the Philippines in 1991, and I unfortunately grew up undocumented here in the U.S. and lived undocumented for 15 years. So my debut collection, Driving Without a License, is informed very much by that experience of living undocumented. I didn't get my permanent resident card until 2006 when I was in graduate school, and I became a naturalized citizen in 2011.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, and so I got a question right off the bat when you talk about undocumented and stuff like that. Is this a tough time for you when you hear certain things coming about the comments about undocumented citizens, especially in the wake of the election that just ended and stuff?
Yes, certainly. I'm very concerned. As I mentioned, I'm a naturalized citizen now, but I still very much live with the history of having been undocumented. Yeah, exactly. And when I was undocumented at a time before DACA. So I was really without any documents. And, I still know people who are living undocumented. And, this is the area of my studies. And so while I can say that I'm a citizen now, all of the work that I do is related to the undocumented immigrant experience. And I know it sounds paranoid, but I often worry that, I might be a target, or I'm an easy target because I'm so outspoken about having grown up undocumented.
Yeah, so true. Definitely.
Yeah, I get trolled on Twitter.
Oh no! Oh geez. Okay. All right. Eric, do you have a question? Eric, Eric, do you have a question for her?
Yeah, I was just curious. Thanks for joining us today. But based on what you guys were just talking about, all these things that are relevant in the news and, with our political cycle, do you feel like this has motivated you potentially to get some creative ideas for new works, or maybe become an advocate or change the direction at all?
Oh, certainly. So I actually also work with an organization called UndocuPoets, the UndocuPoets campaign. And actually right now we are offering fellowships for just small monetary fellowships. There's the partnership through Amazon where undocumented writers can apply, receive this fellowship, and use that money towards sending their book manuscripts out, or applying for graduate school, or paying submission fees. I very much want to support fellow undocumented writers, especially, and undocumented students. And so with my book coming out just this past May, I've been trying to connect with community colleges and other campuses that might have an undocumented student population as a way for me to, again, connect with them and openly talk about my own experience and perhaps even encourage others to write through their own experience. As I mentioned, I come from the Philippines, and most people, outside of Jose Antonio Vargas, most people don't know that undocumented immigrants come from other places besides South America, for example. And so I very much feel like I do have a responsibility to not sit on my hands and to, again, bring awareness to the fact that there is a much larger narrative to undocumented immigrant populations and the undocumented immigrant experience.
And I guess looking at this with the undocumented situation, you said you're afraid at times speaking out, especially the climate today and what's happening. Are you going to keep on going, or are you going to step back a bit in your advocacy?
No. Absolutely, I'm going to keep on going. Actually, the reading that I have in about an hour is going to be my first reading since the election. And while I was nervous, I have to remember that I do have a responsibility, not only to myself, but also to my own story and my own narrative, and a responsibility to other people who are undocumented or who have been undocumented or are living in some kind of limbo. Because again, now that I'm a citizen, I am in some way, I do in some way feel somewhat protected. Well, not all the way protected, but I can talk about this, and I can talk very openly about it. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, good. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So you mentioned you had Twitter. I'm also curious, how else are you getting your story out there via social media or online networks? Knowing how ambitious you are trying to find and get your words to as many people as possible. What are you using, or what are you thinking about using if there's networks that you're looking into?
So I'm actually pretty terrible at Twitter. I do try to tweet, but I'm a little slow to Twitter. I use Facebook quite a bit, and I have a website out, and I do try to connect and publish my work and write essays. Before, I would only write poems about my experience, but it's something else when I write a piece of creative nonfiction, and I pretty much lay out in very clear terms what my upbringing was like and what my experiences were like. And so you can find those essays online. They live very much online. Like I said, I try to use Twitter, but it's so open, and it seems like I'm always shouting into the void. And so I try not to rely on that so much, though I do, I think, use it more to help promote other writers and to share work written by other writers.
You know what I think would benefit you is YouTube. Being able to read your writings and not only that, but also voice your thoughts. That would be a wonderful platform for people to come and follow you and kind of get a more personalized level around the world.
That's a really excellent idea. I do have a video that lives on YouTube, and I can see that people have watched it. And so far, no one says terrible things on it. So I don't know why I never really thought to use YouTube. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
I think it's very encouraging. The drive that you have to move forward, especially since you said a moment ago that people are trolling you on social media and saying things, about you being so outspoken. I just think it's very encouraging and uplifting, and, keep up the success. And I think there needs to be more people like you out there, with a voice and helping to push, education and awareness forward, especially what's going on in the news and the political climate today. So, kudos to you and keep it up. It's so exciting to hear what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All right, where's the best place we can purchase your book and learn more about you? Where can we go?
My book is out through Alice James Books. You can certainly buy it directly from the website. You can also buy it from other retailers like Barnes & Noble, Amazon. I saw the other day that you can actually buy it on from Target as well. And I believe that they have it here also at the book fair. I'm going to be reading at 2:30, and I know they're going to be selling my book as well. And, of course, there's a lot of my writing on my website.
All right, well, fantastic. Thanks for calling. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you again for having me.
Take care. Okay, thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to Office Corner, powered by Life Improvement Radio, live from the Miami Book Fair, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Life Improvement Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the expressed written consent of Life Improvement Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.